Now, I want to talk about the commercial path to market. Firstly, as most corporations understand it, and then I want to go through how it actually happens, how it can work for you. So if we just point out that firstly, we start with an idea. That's all very natural. Once you've done the ideation side of it, you know exactly what you're going to commercialize. Most people then apply for a patent. When they get their patent or the provisional patent, they move to funding. How do we get our funding? We've got a patent. We should be got an asset. So what's it worth? They move to funding. Sometimes they get funding. Many times they don't. And then they move on to scale or licensing. Scaling is where you can ramp up your project to a point where it's 10 times the turnover or something similar. Or in many cases, it's much more than that because you're obviously a very small operation starting. But scaling or licensing, and once you've got that going and you're earning a bit of income, you take it all the way through to patent expiry. And at that point there, you don't have anything to license anymore. So you move on, start with your next project or whatever you do. Now, that's how most people perceive the industry as working, but it actually doesn't work like that. So I'm going to give you a bit more of an understanding of how it actually works. Firstly, we do start with the idea, but we end with pre-scale. The journey that I take people on is called early stage commercialization. It starts with ideation and it finishes at pre-scale. Pre-scale is where we can introduce you to, you're earning money, you've done significant cash generating transactions, and you're in a point, multiple of those, and you're at a point where we can put you in front of venture capital or private equity funds, and they can look at your project and say, okay, if we put 10 times the equity into this, can we get 100 times the output? In most cases, yes, they can. So they will then want to join with you and share that extra. So, and it's a no-brainer for yourselves, of course. So that's the journey we take you on, but it's a little bit different to get there. So firstly, we have to build a commercial model. We have to know that this idea is going to earn you or make you money. And the way we do that is by looking at different elements of it, including proof of concept, market validation, you've no doubt heard of these terms, pricing, costing, and sourcing. We're looking at how the project is going to deliver a margin, and a margin not just for yourself, but for every layer of the commercial model in between, right through to the people who have the problem and are buying it from somebody, retail or wholesale or service-based or whatever it is. So in a case like that, there has to be layers and there has to be enough margin in it for those parties to get involved. And finally, we've got the sales value on it. So the sales potential is all about not just the number of sales that you can make, but how you can build a business on this and stay within the confines of what we've got in terms of the industry, who are your competitors, and the market, who are the buyers. So once we've got all of that and we've worked it out, we pretty much know we're going to make money on this project. And that's the time you go for a patent. Now, if you do that, you're not wasting money on patent. Two things you're doing is, one, you've deferred the patent process using NDAs and other pieces of technology to protect your product up until this point. Once you've taken out your patent, it's a provisional patent. You've got 12 months before you have to pay out the big money to get your patent converted. And that's the time we call the dash to cash. We want to get you to pre-scale within that time because it's important that you don't pay for the patent conversion, the project does. So in most cases, you don't want to have to put aside $60,000 to $140,000 just to convert a patent for worldwide to then reap the potential later. But you won't have an opportunity if you patent too early. So once we get the patent done, we then have to have that dash to cash. And we do that in 4 ways. Our path to market is a significant cash generating transaction, and we focus on just 4 of those: funding, distribution, licensing, and of course a trade sale. Trade sale doesn't have to be the be all and end all, but it is a good opportunity to sell and then buy back for your own rights, or buy back from one country, or sell rights. Trade sale in different jurisdictions, so you actually can have your cake and eat it too, if you like, because you've sold the same product 6 times over. And that can happen. It can be wildly successful for the right people. Once you've done several of these significant cash generating transactions, you're at pre-scale, and that's where we introduce you to venture capital or private equity funds, and that's where I disappear, because what I do is I build the equity for the inventors in groups of 6, and I'll take them through this journey through the significant cash generating transactions so they can actually benefit from that. And then they are, once you've got cash in the bank, you're starting to make sales, two things happen. One, your risks dissipate completely or almost completely. And two, your opportunities expand. And so that's the perfect time to start doing a full court press on your project to make sure you milk everything you can from it. Sorry about the cliches. Today, we're talking about licensing. So I don't want to go too much into the others. We've got others. We'll be running other webinars on the others if you wanted to tune in for anything else later on. Okay, so that's the real